Hello, my name is Hakon, and welcome back, all you fabulous fighting fantasy aficionados, friends, family, and other random passers-by for the second episode of, excuse me, my playthrough of The Forest of Doom. This is Fighting Fantasy Gamebook number 3. After having done numbers 50, 13, 9, 1, and 2, I'm doing them in order now, so this is the number 3, that's what I've got to, and after I finish this, I'm going to do number 4, etc., etc. The Forest of Doom, of course, still having some original concepts going on here. A very nice character on the nice monster on the cover there, which I met this guy here last time I played. Very interesting creature. Also, I was actually meaning to say this. I've been meaning to talk about this a little bit. And I forgot about it in my Citadel of Chaos episodes, and I forgot in my Firetop Mountain episodes. Someone has actually made audio dramas based on these books. I believe they've made 5 different ones. So they've done Warlock of Firetop Mountain. They've done Citadel of Chaos, Forest of Doom, Death Trap Dungeon, and I think one more. And I'm really curious to check them out. I've heard trailers of it, and it sounds really good. So that's just an aside. But something else for you fighting fantasy fans out there, if you come across the radio drama, you can buy them online. And they sound very good, well produced, good voice acting. And I'm definitely going to check them out and perhaps do a little review of them one day. So this Forest of Doom, yeah, does exist as an audio drama. I'm distracting myself from my original train of thought now. So I've got my cameras ready. I've got my everything else ready. So I will just go and get started doing this. So yeah. Let's play The Forest of Doom. See how it goes this time. Right, so here we are. I've got my supplies, as I like to call it. Got my book, got my pad for my character sheet, and I'll just start a new page there. Got my map from last time, pens, pencil, and dice. Very important. Well, I suppose you can get by without if you're cheating, or if you play one of the newer books, which actually have a dice on the bottom of the pages. I've got my cup of tea as well. Lovely. Right. So, without too much further ado, I will try to get started. I'm not sure about the zoom level today. I think that might be okay because I am trying to sort of fit the picture of myself into the top left corner now. So I'll just see how that goes. I'm doing it slightly inconsistently. I do apologize for that, but at some point maybe I'll have a standard way of doing this. But the thing is, I'm setting up my tripod and cameras and everything every single time I do this, because it has to be right on top of my desk, and it would get in my way at other times. That's just an aside. Right, so we have I should do my character sheet first. So I'm getting ahead of myself. So I'm having skill with 2 L's, stamina, and luck. And provisions, of course, I've got provisions in this one. In some later books, you don't have provisions anymore. It's part of the early standard rules. So skill first, 1 die. Well, that's too much, isn't it? Well, okay, I'll see how that goes. Skill of 12. Sometimes it's not so much fun to have a skill of 12 because some things get a bit too easy. Famous last words, isn't it? So anyway, 6 stamina. So that is not amazing, but it's about average. And of course, with a 12 skill, I should be able to get by with 18 stamina and a luck of 8. So it is, I didn't have that great luck because it would be a shame if everything was maximum now. Well, sometimes I just want to get through a book and finish it, and then it's nice to have higher stats. And some books require higher stats indeed to win the game with any kind of probability. Not sure about this one yet, so we'll find out. I think this book, because of the way it's made, a lot of the challenge is actually finding the right path through, and also knowing which items to buy in the beginning, which will help you on the correct path. So. And of course, once you know that, it might be quite easy. I don't know yet. Yummy. Okay. Let's get started. So we have background, it's called. That's the introduction here. Let's see, my zoom. Sorry, not my zoom. My focus looks okay. Yeah, okay. So you are an adventurer, a sword for hire, and have been roaming the northern borderlands of your kingdom. Having always spurned the dullness of village life, you now wander the lands in search of wealth and danger. Despite the long walks and rough outdoor life, you are content with your unknown destiny. The world holds no fears for you as you are a skillful warrior, well practiced in the art of slaying evil men and beasts with your trusty sword. Not once during the last 10 days since entering the Northern Borderlands have you set eyes upon another person. This does not worry you at all, as you are happy with your own company and enjoy the slow, sunny days, hunting, eating, and sleeping. It is evening, and having feasted on a dinner of rabbit, spit roasted on an open fire, settle down to sleep beneath your sheepskin blanket. There's a full moon, and the light sparkles on the blade of your broadsword, skewered into the ground by your side. You gaze at it, wondering when you will next have to wipe the blood of some vile creature from its sharp edge. These are strange lands inhabited by weird and loathsome beasts, goblins, trolls, and even dragons. As the flame of your campfire gently dies, you begin to drift asleep, and images of screaming, green-faced trolls flicker through your mind. Suddenly, in the bushes to your left, you hear the loud crack of a twig breaking under a clumsy foot. You leap up and grab your sword from the ground. You stand motionless but alert, ready to pounce on your unseen adversary. Then you hear a groan, followed by the dull thud of a body falling to the ground. Is it a trap? Slowly you walk over to the bush where the noise is coming from and carefully pull back the branches. You look down to see a little old man with a great bushy beard, his face contorted with pain. You crouch down to remove the iron helmet covering his balding head, and notice 2 crossbow bolts protruding from the stomach of his plump, chainmail-clad torso. Picking him up, you carry him over to the fire and stir the dying embers into life. After covering him with a sheepskin blanket, you manage to get the old man to drink a little water. He coughs and moans. He sits up rigid, eyes staring fixedly ahead, and starts to shout. "I'll get him! I'll get him! Don't you fear, Gillibrand! Big Leg is coming to bring you the hammer! Oh yes, indeed I am, oh yes!" The dwarf, whose name you presume to be Big Leg, is obviously delirious from the poison-tipped bolts lodged in his stomach. You watch as he slumps down again to the ground, then whisper his name in his ear. His eyes stare unblinkingly at you, as he again starts to shout. "Ambush! Look out! Ambush! Oh! The hammer! Take the hammer to Gillibrand! Save the dwarves!" His eyes half close, and pain seems to ease a little, and as the delirium subsides, he speaks to you again in a low whisper. "Help us, friend. Take the hammer to Gillibrand. Only the hammer will unite our people against the trolls. We were on our way to Darkwood in search of the hammer, ambushed by the little people. Others killed. The map in my pouch will take you to the home of Yaztromo, the master mage of these parts. He has great magics for sale to protect you against the creatures of Darkwood. Take my gold. I beg you to find the hammer and take it to Gillibrand, my lord of Stonebridge. You will be well rewarded. Bigleg opens his mouth to start another sentence, but nothing comes out except his last dying breath. You sit down and ponder Bigleg's words. Who is Gillibrand? Who is Yaztromo? What is all the fuss about the dwarfish hammer? You reach over to the still body of Bigleg and remove the pouch from the leather belt around his waist. Inside you find 30 gold pieces and a map. And this is the map. I'm not going to move it too close to the camera because it's not going to focus. Unfortunately, I can't do autofocus on this camera while I am filming directly to the computer. So sorry about that. Jingling the coins in your hand, you think of the possible rewards which may await you just for returning a hammer to a village of dwarfs. You decide to try to find the hammer in Darkwood Forest. It's been a few weeks since your last good battle, and what is more, you are likely to be well paid for this one. Or you might die. With your mind made up, you settle down to sleep, having taken back the sheepskin blanket from poor Bigleg. Yes, having taken back the sheepskin blanket from poor Bigleg. In the morning, you bury the old dwarf and gather up your possessions. You examine the map, look up to the sun, and find your bearings. Whistling merrily, you set off south at a good pace, eager to meet this man Yaztromo and see what he has to offer. Now turn over. I think it's a bit strange that this guy who's roaming around in the borderlands of his kingdom, they wouldn't know about Gillibrand or Yaztromo, but there you go. Right, lovely picture here. Paragraph 1. Your walk to Yaztromo's takes a little over half a day, and you arrive at his stone tower home, dirty and hungry. As the tower is set back on the edges of Darkwood some 50 meters away from the path you have been following, it is difficult to find. Finally, you walk up to the huge oak door. Somewhat relieved to find that it does exist, and that Bigleg had not been speaking wildly in his delirium. A large brass bell and gong hang from the stone archway. As you ring the bell, a shiver runs down your spine, and you realize that the loud bong invades a deep silence, which you had not noticed before. There are no sounds of birds or animals to be heard. You wait anxiously at the door and hear slow footsteps descending stairs from the tower above. A small wooden slot in the door slides open, and 2 eyes appear and examine you. "Well, who are you?" demands a grumpy voice through the hole. You answer that you are an adventurer in search of the master mage Yaztromo, intending to purchase magical items from him to combat the creatures of Darkwood Forest. "Oh, well, in that case, if you're interested in buying some of my merchandise, you had better come up. I am Yaztromo." He then turns and slowly climbs the stone stairs. Will you follow him up the stairs? Or draw your sword and attack him? Now, the most silly thing you can do, I suppose, in the beginning of a book like this is to attack a grand wizard. I think that will lead to an instant death. So I will follow him up the stairs. And we have a long paragraph ahead here. You follow the huffing and puffing old man in his tattered robes up the spiral staircase to a large room at the top of the tower. Shelves, cupboards, and cabinets line the walls, and all filled with bottles, jars, weapons, armor, and all manner of strange artifacts. Yaztromo shuffles past a general clutter and slumps down in an old oak chair. He reaches into his top pocket and pulls out a fragile pair of gold-rimmed spectacles. Placing these on his nose, he picks up a piece of slate and chalk from a table next to his chair and begins to write frantically. And then hands you the slate. And this slate is a list of items that you may buy here in Yaztromo's tower. It tells you that all instructions for use are written clearly on the labels, blah, 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 together with a suggested use. He sighs and tells you that unfortunately the magic in the items only works once. But there are the best you can buy for the money. So I'm going to buy some of his items now. Let's see. So we got. Maybe I should just list all of them. Potion of healing. Now this is another thing that could be. If I were to make a character sheet for this book, maybe I should just make a list of all of these so you could sort of cross them off. Which ones do you buy and then which ones do you use? Plant control. Actually, I've half a mind to start making my own proper character sheets that I can add to my. I can also add to my Fighting Fantasy resources on Patreon. On Patreon, which I'm sure I've said a few times before, I can say it again now. As I go through all these books, what I am doing is I am uploading all the maps that I make for the games. I'm making them in Twine, which is a free-to-use software made specifically for writing interactive fiction, and which means anyone can download it and use it and view it. It's just an HTML file, and they can edit it and change it in any way they like, and they can use it to cheat if they want. They can use it to analyze the way the story is structured if they like. Very useful if you are somebody who wants to write interactive fiction or game books in particular. You can make your own maps based on it if you like. You can use it to just explore the whole book and make sure that you don't miss anything. And also I'm putting up the basic programs that I write to analyze the optimum path for the probability of winning the game. And of course that is something that some others might find interesting too. And of course, if I do make character sheets and if I do make proper, more artistic maps of these games, that will also be added to my Patreon. So all those things will be available. So far, I've got the map and simulation of Caverns of the Snow Witch up. I've got the Warlock of Firetop Mountain. And I've got Citadel of Chaos. And of course I will add. I did have a map of Freeway Fighter that went missing because I accidentally deleted it. I will have to make a new one of that, and I will also have to make a Twine map of Return to Firetop Mountain, Fighting Fantasy book number 50 as well. So those things will be added as I go along, and everything will be added just as it's ready to be added. So once I've done my Aftermath episodes, for instance, I will add new things to my Patreon. We can also add other things there, but at the moment this is sort of one of the main things I'm doing in my spare time, so that's sort of one of the main things I will be adding there. Other things I'm planning to add more of is sort of artwork that people can download and print if they like. I will add music files. I suppose I could do that as well. Sometimes people ask me about music for some of my videos, things like that. So yeah, all these things to do with what I do creatively will be, and to do with my YouTube videos, will be added to my Patreon. Let's see, rope of climbing, 3, entanglement, 3, 2, 2, 2, 3. Okay. So, while I was talking there, I was writing down the name of all the items you can buy in Nostromos. And now I have to decide how to spend my 30 gold. Now, last time I took a route that was sort of very west as possible, really. And I have a theory, I don't know if it's true or not, that maybe these items only need to be used once each in the game. And it did not seem like any other things that I came across here in the west were things that I needed. But then again, some of these paths do go sort of west and you can go east again, and west and you can go. So there is a possibility, of course, but I'm going to assume now that the items that are necessary in this path here that I didn't seem to, and the things I use them for don't seem to be essential. So Armband of Strength was not used, or was used here, and it doesn't seem that it was necessary, so I'm going to put a minus on that. Holy Water is something that could have saved me from dying, and I'm not sure if there are going to be any other undead where you need Holy Water to beat them. So I'm going to give that a miss. Then there were the Boots of Leaping, and that I needed to get out of a sticky situation here. So I'm going to presume those ones are not needed for, let's see, what does that say now? Oh, yeah. It would have been much easier to do this if I actually wrote properly on my map and in the way I could read it, but right, so with those 3 items out of the way, and let's see in the 3, I did calculate this last time, didn't I? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 15, 20, 29, 31, 35, 44. It's a total of 44. So I can only buy 30 gold pieces worth, and everything cost 44. So I've eliminated 3 items at a total cost of 8, which means that I have to remove another 6 gold's worth of items that I can't buy. So I'm going to go with Potion of Healing. I'm not doing that one. And I'm also not doing Fire Capsules. Okay, those 2 things. So that means I have one of each of these things. Potion of Plant Control, Potion of Stillness, Potion of Insect Control, Potion of Anti-Poison, Ring of Light, Rope of Climbing, Net of Entanglement, Glove of Missile Dexterity, Rod of Water Finding, Garlic Buds, Headband of Concentration, and Nose Filters. All those things I have. I also, and I forgot to write this down, I have a Potion of Stamina in the beginning of this game, and in the part of the early standard rules of Fighting Fantasy is to pick a potion that either restores your stamina, your skill, or your luck. And usually what makes the most sense is a potion of stamina, or it's called a potion of strength, which I don't think makes much sense because it can be confused, since skill is usually what's used for strength feats. Potion of stamina is a much more accurate description and less ambiguous. So I've got one of those, and I will get started. I will need to keep my map out now, I think, because I will not go the same route as last time. Right, so where was I? I was in... I forgot to write a note of the... So this is 261. That is where you are in the shop. Yes, so if you decide to buy any of the items, pay for them by reducing the amount of gold on your adventure sheet. I suppose it's possible to keep some gold as well if you want to. And add the items to the relevant sections on it. Nostromo then asks you the reason for the purchase of the items, and you tell him your story and your decision to continue the quest of the luckless Big Leg. Ah, yes, Nostromo says slowly, rubbing his chin. I heard that the good dwarfs of Stonebridge had lost their fabled warhammer. Without it, their king is unable to arouse his people. Despite the fact that the hill trolls threaten their village, rumors has it that an envious king of another village of dwarfs sent an eagle to Stonebridge to steal the hammer, which it managed to do. But as it flew back over Darkwood, it was attacked by deathhawks, and the hammer dropped into the forest and was lost. Apparently 2 forest goblins found the hammer, but could not decide who was to keep it. They wrestled for hours, but gave up. Then they discovered that the handle unscrewed from the head, and the argument was settled. One kept the head, the other kept the handle. Then they parted, each happy with his new treasure. Who knows if they still have them? So I'm afraid your problems are doubled. I can tell you that the head is made of bronze and the handle is made of polished ebony. Both head and handle have the letter G inscribed on them. Your task is not easy. Good luck. You thank Astromo and leave the room by the spiral staircase. Turn to 177. Outside in the bright light, you notice a dead quietness again. A narrow path leads northwards from the tall grass surrounding Yaztromo's tower into the dense undergrowth of darkwood forest. In a few strides, you are surrounded by the dark and tangled forest. Stones and knotted roots seem to hide in the shadows, and you can almost believe that they are trying to trip you up. The light fades quickly, and the air becomes moist and unpleasant. Deeper and deeper you go into the gloom. Eventually, the path forks on either side of a huge old tree. And you can either go west or east. Now, last time I went west, and then I went west again. Maybe this time I go west, and then I go north. So I'm going to start by going west. Try to be a little bit systematic this one. The narrow, overgrown path continues to weave its way through the crowded forest. Strange animal cries echo through the trees. At least the animals are back now. It's not long before you arrive at another junction in the path. If you wish to continue westwards, turn to 76. If you wish to turn north, turn to 147. So I'm going north this time. The path heads north into the thick forest. In one of the few clearings between the trees, you see smoke rising from the chimney of a wooden hut to your right. If you want to look through the window of the hut, turn to 38. If you wish to keep walking north, turn to 220. So we have walking north, 220. Or check out the hut. So, north, hut. Now I'm going to check out the hut, obviously. You peer through the small, dirty window of the hut to see an old woman in grubby clothes with a wrinkled face and warty nose reading one of several books by the fireside on the far wall of the hut. A hunchbacked servant is carrying more books to her from shelves crammed with old books, charts, and scrolls. If you want to enter the hut, turn to 315. If you'd rather return to the path and head north again, turn to 220. So, I suppose I'll enter the hut. 315. Enter. You open a rough wooden door and walk into the middle of a dingy hut. Will you talk to the old woman or draw your sword? Well, obviously I'll talk to the woman. So talk. .342 sword. Usually just drawing your sword right away isn't the best way to communicate, and of course it doesn't look dangerous. Oh dear, well, may as well have drawn my sword. The old woman throws back her head and roars with laughter as you start to make conversation. She is an evil woman. Lose 1 luck point and draw your sword. An evil woman, lose 1 luck point. That's a weird way to initiate a battle. And also, how do I know if she's evil? I mean, it should be something she says, shouldn't it? Anyway, 342. So it's 342 anyway, and that is the best way to start a conversation with this person. As you draw your sword, the old woman's face changes from an expression of disinterest to that of anger. That doesn't really go with the previous paragraph. From a drawer in a nearby table, she pulls out some dead flowers and proceeds to rub a few petals on her palms, fitting the hut. How is she able to do all this if you draw your sword? Haven't you skewered her already? Come on. Filling the hut with a sweet smell. As this happens, the room starts to spin before your eyes. If you possess the headband of concentration, turn to 158. Well, of course I do. So headband. And then it's 11. No. Oh, 158. Yes. Okay. You start to lose your balance as the illusion distorts your mind. You close your eyes and reach into your backpack, pulling out the headband of concentration, which you quickly place on your head. The spinning sensation in your head subsides, and you open your eyes again to see the old woman who you now realize is a witch. That took a while. You're a bit slow, apparently. To stop you reaching her, the servant throws a wooden chair at you. Test your luck. If you're lucky, the chair misses, etc., etc. Okay, so we've got luck against 7. Nope. If you're unlucky, the chair hits you on the side of the head, knocking you unconscious. Okay, that's right. 7, 3, 5, 3. Unlucky. Lucky. So yes, and test luck. So 3, 5, 3. When you awake, you find that you are lying on the ground outside the wooden hut. You sit up and look inside your backpack. All your provisions have been stolen. Okay. Luckily, nothing else is gone, and you still have your sword. You look inside the hut, but it is deserted. If you wish to search the hut for something useful, turn to 26. If you'd rather leave the hut, return to the path and head north, turn to 220. So I'm going to search the hut. You decide to start your search at the... Oops, sorry. Didn't mean to bump into the camera there. Okay. You decide to start your search at the wooden shelves. All the books are written in a language unfamiliar to you and contain strange diagrams. The charts and scrolls are also unintelligible to you. You open cupboards and drawers, but all you find are more books, leather-bound and dusty. You're about to give up searching the room when you notice one more book on the floor, acting as support for a broken table leg. Will you pick up the book or give up your search and return to the path to head north? Now, there's quite a lots of logical flaws in this thing, but yeah. Okay, let's just do 91 over here then. So checkbook. Okay, I'll do it. I'll check the book. I'm getting a bit sniffly now. Must be a bit pollenish today. You open the book and are surprised to see that the pages are hollowed out in the middle. Lying in the cavity is a small jewel on a silver chain. Beside it is a parchment which reads, Eye of Amber, instructions for use. Place the necklace around your neck and question those you fear. No matter what they try to say, it's only truth you'll hear. Right, so we've got Eye of Amber. So at least there's something useful in here. So Eye Amber. You place the necklace around your neck and presume your find will come in useful in this evil forest. Add 1 luck point, and I'll see I forgot to reduce it earlier, so it's back to 7. Leaving the hut, you return to the path and head north. Turn to 220. So, okay. Walking along the narrow path, you notice a big old tree to your left with a large hole in its trunk just above head height. If you wish to reach up to put your hand into the hole, turn to 275. If you would rather continue walking north, turn to 115. So we've got... let's see if I do... This is going to be a really convoluted and messy map, it looks like. So 115 is going north, and 275 is reaching into the hole. 275. I'm going to check out the hole. You put your hand slowly into the dark hole. It comes into contact with something cold and hard. I think I actually need to blow my nose. Sorry about that. I'll be right back. Right, so as you start to lift it out of the hole, you wince with pain as the sharp teeth of some small creature suddenly bite into your arm. Pull your arm out quickly, hanging on to your discovery. Blood drips to the ground from your wound. Lose 1 stamina point. So we have stamina down to 17. See that you have not found a metal bowl after all. It is a bronze helmet and it looks about your size. We try on the helmet or discard it and continue north. So of course I'm going to try on the helmet. So we've got stamina -1 and 179 helmet. Suddenly got a bit darker, didn't it? Oh, it's I think a cloud passed the sun just now. 115. No, not 115. 179. Sorry, I'm going to try the helmet. You place the helmet on your head. A surge of power starts to run through your body, making you feel strong and unafraid. The helmet has magical properties and will allow you to add 1 point to all future dice rolls when computing your own attack strength. This is how they're supposed to do magical armor and weapons. It's supposed to change attack strength, not skill, because skill can't be changed unless you've lost it. So there, it can't be increased. So I've got a skill of 12 and I got a helmet that gives me +1, so I'm basically invincible. Well, if it hadn't been for my luck, which will kill me, helmet +1 attack. Right. So that's definitely worth it then. So helmet, so that is +1 attack. And then I got 115. Okay, there we are. So the path soon comes to a junction. If you wish to go west, turn to 382. And so that is 2. And I presume if you go west here, you'll sort of end up over this place where you could go east earlier. So that's probably a connection there. If you wish to go east, turn to 277. So I will go east in this case. Since I'm guessing I probably have seen the western part already. The path continues east for some distance and then turns sharply north, narrowing slightly. The trees seem to crowd in on the path even more than usual, and the tingling down your spine tells you something is not right. Suddenly, a branch from one of the trees to your right whips out and knocks you to the ground. Lose 1 stamina point. You stagger to your feet to see that the tree has moved onto the path, blocking your way. The tree is old with thick, cracked bark. You can just make out its hidden eyes and mouth in the middle of its trunk and realize you have been attacked by a tree man. You may escape by running back to the junction or fight the tree man. Maybe this is where you need fire capsules so you can burn it. Right, so we've got so escape. 2, 3, 4. Or fight 114. Fight. Well, of course I'm going to fight the tree man. The tree man lumbers slowly towards you on large splayed roots. If you possess fire capsules, turn to 350. See, I told you that's where you need them. Fire capsules, question mark. And that is 350. Yes. Or 1, 2, 3. No fire capsules. But in this case, it looks like maybe it just gives me an advantage for the battle, or I can just not do the battle at all. So I'm drawing my sword and I'm going to 1, 2, 3. The tree man lashes out at you with 2 of its main branches, and you leap into the attack. Tree man, skill 8, stamina 8, but you must defeat the tree man twice, once for each main branch, before it will die. If you win, turn to 10 to 7, you may escape by going to 2, 3, 4. So tree man 8 times 2, really. And then I go to 27 for winning. Okay, so I'll win. Right, so I've got to fight. So I've got the technique, and now I've got 13, 16 because of my helmet, and I'm fighting an 8, 8 twice. So 8, 8, 8, 8. So he rolls. I've got a 5 lead on skill. So he rolls first. He rolls 12. I roll 2. He rolls 9. I roll 3. Okay, this it's one of those days, isn't it? He rolls 10. I roll 6, so that's finally me hitting him. 10, 7. Maybe I should, as usual, just do my little rundown of how battle works. So when you fight someone, each opponent has a skill and a stamina score. It says in the book, you have a skill and stamina score on your character sheet, which you established in the beginning by rolling the dice. In battle, your opponent rolls first, and he rolls 2 dice. Oh, come on. And then you add it to his skill. So he's got a skill of 8, and he rolled a 12. So that means he's got a total of 20, which is his attack score. And then you roll 2 dice for yourself. I rolled an 8 now, and you add that to your skill. And of course, mine is now 12 skill plus 8. That's 20 as well, but I also got plus 1 for my helmet. So that's a total of 21. If you or your opponent is higher than the other, then the one with the highest injures the other for 2 points of stamina. I call it hit points usually, because that's what I'm used to from Dungeons and Dragons. And if the number is equal, then nobody injures anyone, because you just parried each other's attacks. So in this case, I actually get a little hit in on him. He rolls a 6. That's good, because that means one of the branches is now dead. The other one, he rolls a 3. I roll a 7, so he's down to 6. He rolls a 6. I roll a 5. He's down to 4. He rolls an 11, and I rolled a 7, so that is still me hitting him, and he is down to 2 hit points, 7 and 8, and he is dead, or felled, I think, in this case. So I win, and I go to 27. Wiping the thick green sap blood from your sword, you set off north again. You are relieved to see that the trees are at last beginning to thin out and appear less threatening. Turn to 329. So 329. Right. Another thing, by the way, escape. It says escape in italics, and that's a very specific thing in the rules. If you escape, sometimes there's a clause that says you can only escape after 2 rounds or 3 rounds, etc. When you escape, your opponent gets an automatic hit on you, so you lose 2 hit points automatically if you escape. And then it tells you what paragraph you can go to. Escape isn't always an option, but when it is, it says in the book. 329, yes. I'm going to need some water here, I think. Daylight appears through the trees on either side of the path as the forest thins out more. Soon the path leads out of the trees onto a large plain with tall grasses. Beyond, you see rising ground leading to low hills. A new branch of the path leads east. Continuing your quest, you may keep on walking north or go east. So I'm sort of trying to do the middle path this time, so that means I should probably go north. So this is now the option of going north or east. So 252 east or 180 north. So I'm going to go north. Walking quickly along the path through waist-high grass, you arrive at another junction in the path. If you want to continue walking north, go to 105. Or, if you wish to go west, to 361. Now, I did walk a little bit east again, and then north, so maybe if I go west now, I will not get back to the bit I've done before. At least that'd be interesting to know. So I will try to go west now and see if there's any connection there. From not too far ahead comes the sharp noise of barking dogs drawing nearer. Suddenly a brown fox with eyes wide open in fear dashes past you running east. The frantic yelping of the dogs gets louder. If you wish to face the oncoming pack of dogs, turn to 396. If you'd rather hide in the tall grasses of the path and let them run past in pursuit of the fox, turn to 86. So, we've got hide 86 or stand. So 396, 396. Wait. I'm going to wait and see what happens there. So I'm going to go to 396. You draw your sword and stand to face the pack of dogs. They come into view in a cloud of dust. Galloping behind them is a masked rider wearing a long flowing cloak and riding a white stallion. He blows a horn and the pack of dogs comes to a sudden halt in front of you. There are 4 of them and you see that they are hunting dogs. The stallion stands motionless behind them with steam blowing from its nostrils in 2 long jets. The masked man looks at you without speaking. Will you start a conversation with him or attack the dog nearest to you? Right, so we've got 96. Attack dog. Or 364. Converse. I'm going to start a conversation. He doesn't look like he's going to talk, but worth a try sometimes. You nod your head at the masked rider and bid him good day. He nods back but says nothing. You tell him of your quest to help the dwarfs of Stonebridge. He then jumps down from his mount, throws back his cape and extends his right arm to shake your hand. You see that each of his fingers is adorned by a large gold ring. Will you attack him for his gold or carry on the conversation? Interesting choice. So we've got 276 attack or 194 talk. Well, I'm not greedy, evil. I mean, the thing is, if you keep attacking people for their gold, you are the evil one, and it doesn't matter how evil the Warlock of Fight Up Mountain is, you are probably as evil. Anyway, I'm going to go to 194 and just talk to this guy. The man smiles and takes off his mask, explaining that he wore it to protect him against the dust and not to hide the face of a robber. You sheathe your sword and relax a little. The man tells you that he is a hunter and that the best game in all the Northern Borderlands can be found in this grassy plain within Darkwood Forest. It says that his hounds were chasing a wild boar when they lost its scent and picked up that other fox mistakenly, but I met that boar last time. He warns you of some of the dangerous beasts that lurk in these parts and finally says, and if you're going to spend the night in Darkwood, you might need some of this. He drops some belladonna into your hand and jumps back on his stallion. So, then with a sudden blow of his horn, the dogs run off east. He turns and waves to you before galloping off in pursuit of his dogs. So I got some belladonna, and last time I was asked if I had belladonna at some point. Let's see, I can't see. Oh, there it is, yeah. It was sort of around that time when he was sleeping, I guess. So I suppose this is something that will happen regardless of where you are when you go in bed for the night. Interesting stuff. Okay, so this is where we get the belladonna. So, belladonna. And by the way, if you were to be consistent, this is also one of those places where you should be getting a lock point. I'm just saying. Right. So, let's head off west again, 208. So, soon arrive at a crossroads. The way south leads back to the forest. We decide to ignore it. We either keep going west, turn to 99. Aha, there it is. And or north. So that is 208 is actually the same as 323, really. So you can go. Or you can go there. So, okay. Now, in that case, I shall go to, because this is where I can get to the arm wrestling bit. So if I really, well, of course I don't. Oh, I've got the skill for that now, don't I? So I might as well go and win the armband of strength, actually. So if I go to 99. Ahead you see that the path ends at the door of a large hut made of dried mud. It has a domed roof and a single window. I almost had a doomed roof there, but it's a domed roof. Sometimes if the roof hasn't been maintained properly, it is doomed, but in this case it is domed. You peer through the window and see a large man with dark skin sitting at a table in the middle of the hut. He is bare-chested and is flexing the muscles of his arms. If you wish to enter the hut, turn to 209. If you would rather return to the junction in the path, turn to 349. So I'm entering the hut. And as you enter the hut, the big man smiles. He looks pleased to see you and starts to speak in a deep voice. Welcome, stranger. My name is Quinn. Or Chuin, maybe, because I think it looks a bit oriental. And I earn my living by my arms. Would you care for a little wager, perhaps, at arm wrestling? If you wish to accept the challenge, turn to 28. 28. If you possess an armband of strength, turn to 52. If you do not possess this item, turn to 266. Quinn explains that he will wager some dust of levitation against an item or coins to the value of 10 gold pieces. So, because I know the value of, I'll just wager any of my things. Doesn't matter because I'm going to win this automatically now. You sit down at the table opposite him, you put your elbow onto the table and lock hands with him. His grip is like an iron vice, and his dark slanted eyes look confident. His biceps bulge and he gives the signal for the contest to begin. Roll 2 dice. The number rolled is less than or equal to your skill score. My skill is 12, so 12 or less. You managed with great effort to push his arm down slightly. You're strong and will not give in easily. You must roll successfully against your skill score 2 more times. Because I've got 12 skill now, it's going to be automatic, but I'll just roll them anyway. So I roll a 2, a 3, and a 6. So I would have made it with any skill, actually, in this case. I'm successful, and I go to 354. So there we go. Quinn shakes his head in disbelief. He stands up and walks silently to a wooden chest at the back of the hut. He lifts the lid and pulls out a small glass phial. Is it phial or vial? Because usually when it's... Because no, that's... Well, actually, I forgot to check that last time I played. Because I know it's written file, but the thing is it can also be written with a V. So I'm just wondering if really it should be... Oh, file, yeah. File. Anyway. So file it is then. Right, so yes. He hands it to you and walks back to the table, where he slumps in his chair looking thoroughly dejected. The dust in the phial sparkles in the light, and you put it into your backpack and leave the house. So I've got dust of levitation. I know where not to use it. No. Because I don't want to wake up the ghoul again without holy water. So, yes. So I'm going to 349. You arrive back at the crossroads, ignoring the way south back to the forest. You may go north, 291, or east, 102. So I'm actually able to go back to the... Yes, I can go to east, so I can go to 102. So I can get back to the middle path. Walking along the path, you notice marks in the ground made by the hoofs of a horse heading east. You soon arrive at another junction in the path. The hoof marks lead south, back to the forest. You decide to head north, turn to 105. So 105 north. So I think this should be then technically that place where I met the guy with the dogs and the horse should be the same place. Yes. Did I forget? Was there a way to go east as well or north? Hang on. I just think I forgot to write something on my map over here. No, that's not it. Ah, yes, 105. Oh, yes, that's not. Oh, hang on, that's 105 as well. So, if I remove that, and I move 105, I remove this, and that's my 105 there. So those are the same paragraph. I'll tidy up my map a little bit there. Right, so that's not what I'm seeing now, luckily. In the distance, to the right of the path, you see large birds circling in the sky. As you get closer, you recognize them as vultures. If you wish to step off the path to see what or whom the vultures are interested in, turn to 384. If you wish to ignore the vultures and continue walking north, turn to 394. So we've got, that is, 394. 394, and that is north. Then we have 384. Those paragraphs are too similar to each other, so you might confuse them. What do I call that? Investigate, I suppose. Investigate. Right. Head in the grass as you hear a low moan. You look up to see the vultures patiently waiting overhead. A few steps further and you see the ugly sight of a huge man with muscles like knotted iron staked out to the ground. His arms and legs are tied to 4 large wooden pegs driven deep into the ground. The man is naked except for a small loincloth, and his skin is badly blistered from the sun. His face and chest show the bloodied signs of cruel torture. His captors will not have gained the information they sought from him because he is a barbarian. If you wish to cut him free, turn to 128. If you want to leave him in his agony and return to the path to head north, turn to 394. There's a missing option there. You could also get him out of his agony by just killing him, but there you go. So there's the option of going to 304, but of course I was going to check what's going on here. So I'm going to, of course, he's a barbarian. He's going to attack me, isn't he? Because this is what barbarians are like. Cut free. I think barbarians are being stereotyped a bit. Anyway, so you cut the thick ropes holding the barbarian. He grunts and sits up to rub his wrists and ankles. He looks at you and sneers. He's either delirious or ungrateful, for he pulls out one of the wooden stakes from the ground and turns to attack you. Now he's able to pull it out of the ground, isn't he? Skill 9, stamina 7. So 9, 7. I'm 13 effectively, and 16. So no, hang on, 12 actually. 13, 12, 9, 7. Okay, so he rolls first. He rolls 5. I roll 10. He rolls a 7. I roll 7. He rolls a 6. I roll an 8. He rolls a 9, and I roll a 6. So he is dead. If you win, turn to 272. That is the last time you are going to do anybody a favor for some time. Returning to the path, you head north again to 394. So I didn't get anything for that. 272. Win and barb 9, 7. So that's just another meaningless encounter. Gradually, the grass around you becomes shorter as the ground gently starts to rise. Ahead, you can hear the sound of flowing water. Soon you reach the bank of a slow-flowing river. The river is very shallow, and stepping stones cross it to the far bank, where the path continues north into the distance. So, of course, further west there's a waterfall, so this is a little bit safer, I think, to cross here. So either cross the river by the stepping stones or wade through the shallow water. Now, there's two things that can happen here. If you wade, there might be some piranhas and stuff coming to eat your legs. If you step on the stones, one of them might turn out to be a creature that's going to eat your legs. So, one or the other. Let's see. So 66 stones. 186. Wait. I'm going to do the stones. You step carefully along the slippery stones to the other side of the river. You see that the path continues north into the hills, but as it is getting dark, you decide to make camp for the night under a large solitary tree to the right of the path. You build a large fire and settle down to sleep with your sword by your side. Turn to 325. 25. So sleep. You have been asleep for about an hour when the soft noise of fluttering wings wakes you up. You sit up and grab your sword, and in the light of the full moon you see 3 large shapes flying towards you. They look like large bats. But as they swoop in close, you see the unmistakable fangs of vampire bats. If you possess any garlic buds, turn to 268. So garlic buds. Garlic. 268. Yes, I do have garlic buds, so I'm going to go to 268. Okay, so let's just make a note of these garlic buds. I'm using those. Something else that I used? No. Okay. So, garlic buds, 268. You reach quickly into your backpack and pull out the garlic buds. The vampire bats close in on you but veer away at the last second, screeching loudly. They hover above you, eager to drink your blood, but the garlic keeps them at bay. Eventually they fly off in search of some other prey. Leaving the garlic by your side, you settle down to sleep again. In the morning, you collect your belongings and head north along the path. Now, garlic, I thought I worked against the vampires. Vampire bats have nothing to do with vampires. Do they not like garlic either? Or is it that vampire bats don't like garlic and therefore people thought that vampires don't like garlic? I don't know. Anyway. 119. So we got 119 north. The ground is quite steep as the path wends its way into the hills. By the time you reach the top, the sun is quite hot. How's the lighting now? It looks a bit. I think I should increase the brightness a bit here. Let's see. Let's see, how is that? Yeah, I think that looks okay. That's better anyway. Yeah. Yes, where am I? Yes, went its way into the hills. By the time you reach the top, the sun is quite hot. All around in the distance, you see the green circle of darkwood forest. Mist still hangs in the tall grass behind you, but ahead you see a valley floor bathed in sunlight. All is quiet. As you start down the far side of the hill, you see a junction in the path. You may either continue north down the hill, turn to 90, or head west along the new branch to 216. So, north 90 and west 216. 216 west or 90 north. Now, I'm thinking if I go west here, I'll probably going to go into the same path I was at before, which I still don't think had anything interesting. So I'm going to go north. The path runs north down the hill between large boulders and rocks. You have an uneasy feeling that you are being watched. Then, from behind one of the large boulders to the left of the path spring two sinewy men with long hair and beards. They're wearing animal furs and look menacing. One notches an arrow to his bow and lets it fly. Test your luck. So, test luck. A luck of 7, so I need to roll a 7 or better. Or lower, that is. So that is 7, and my luck is down to 6. Okay. If you are lucky, the arrow misses you and flies past your head. 210. If you're unlucky, the arrow lodges itself in your shoulder and you suffer the loss of 3 stamina points. You're still alive, turn to 348. So I'm going to 210 lucky. I'm not going to do the complete mapping now. Can't be bothered. The men curse and jump up and down in anger at having missed you. They start to argue and push each other around. They seem to forget all about you. If you want to attack the wild hillmen, turn to 43. If you want to walk past them along the path while they are still arguing, turn to 188. So, that's not there. So that's there. So that's 188. Walk 43. Attack. I'm just going to attack them because they're being annoying. You draw your sword and charge the wild hillmen, who stop their argument to turn towards you, screaming and wielding axes. And I'm fighting them one at a time. I can escape if I win to the 50. So I've got, I'm at 13, 12 now, effectively. 7, 5, and 6, 4. So first wild man, he rolls an 11. I roll a 7, so that is he is getting hit. So I'm 6 ahead in skill now. It was a 12. I rolled a 6. That's a draw. He rolls a 12. I rolled a 7. So that is me hitting him. He rolls a 2. I rolled a 7. He is dead. Second one has a skill of 6. So I'm 7 ahead. He rolls a 9. I rolled an 8. And he rolls a 5. And I rolled a 5. So he is also dead. So may escape and win 50. So I win and I go to 50. Around the neck of one of the wild hillmen, you find a small silver key hanging on a small leather cord. So that is silver key. I know where that one fits. Maybe there's a chance, of course, now that because if I had the holy water, that I would be able to actually get, because I've got the dust of levitation, I've got the silver key. Maybe there's something if you defeat the ghoul that is necessary for winning the game. I don't know, but I'll have to keep that in mind. I'm not going there again. Well, actually, now that I could attack the ghoul now because my skill is so high. There's no way it's going to paralyze me and kill me. I'll think about that. So, north again, 188. Walking down the hill, you see the valley floor stretching out ahead, and beyond a sinister wall of trees, darkwood. On the other side of the trees lies Stonebridge, your journey's end. Arriving on the valley floor, you see that the path comes to a junction. You want to head west, turn to 221. You want to head east, turn to 354. Now I'm thinking that's probably the same junction that is... Right, so I'm going to do the next page. And 188 here now. So 188. And that came from 90, 40, 50. Okay. And I can go west or north. That's 221 west or 300. Oh, not north, actually, it's east. East 350. Right. I'm going to go west now. Right, so the valley floor is covered with lush green grass and is very flat. You can arrive at another junction in the path. You may either continue west or head north. So north is then 199, or west which is 378. So I'm going to go west, 378. To the left of the path, you see a small man with a long grey beard sitting cross-legged on top of a huge mushroom. He is wearing a bright red jacket and cap, and his trousers are black and end at his knees. Let's move this out a little bit. He is asleep and is snoring loudly. You may either give him a gentle push to wake him up, turn to 307, or walk quietly past him, continue your journey, turn to 67. Okay, so we've got... okay, or 207, wake. Obviously, I'm going to wake him up. So I'm going to see here. A small man wakes up with a start. I'm going to have some more water. loses his balance and falls off the mushroom. He curses as he lands on the ground, but jumps back onto the mushroom, shouting, "Who did that? Who did that?" He looks up at you and frowns. You may either attack the gnome or attempt to start a conversation with it. So, it's 1, 1, 2. Attack. Or 271. Talk. I'm going to talk to him. 271. You approach a gnome with your arm extended, offering to shake his hand, an offer which he accepts with a doubtful look on his face. You then tell him of your quest, how you met poor Big Leg, and why you decided to help the dwarfs of Stonebridge. Well, for the money. You ask him if he has any information which might help you. He replies that he does not care much for dwarfs, but he does have some information which might be of use to you. However, that information will cost you either 5 gold pieces or any item of treasure from your backpack. You wish to pay the greedy gnome for his information, turn to 297. If you can afford to or do not wish to pay him, tell him what you think of him and set off west along the path. Right, so I'm thinking I don't have any money. I've got a few items that I'm probably wanting to keep. So I'm not going to pay him for information. I think I'll keep my items. Whatever information he has is probably useful, but it may be something I already know or something I will find out in the hard way, which is sometimes more interesting. I'm going to set off west again and go to 67. Also, there's a third option missing here. You should also still be given the option of attacking, him again. You arrive at another junction in the path. The way south leads back into the hills, so you ignore it and continue west, turn to 113. So, there we are. So this is where I'm going back to my map from last time. Is this within shot now? Let's see. Yes. Have to change the size of some of my windows here. Yes, 113 now. Down there from last time. So I'm going to 113. The path makes a sudden turn to the right and heads north across the valley floor. To the left of the path, you see a large pond with a small wooden hut with a thatched roof by its edge. If you want to investigate the hut, turn to 324. Now, what was here again? But there were some interesting things there, weren't there? Yeah, so I'm going to check out the hut, 324. You walk around to the front of the hut and see a large blue vase standing on a small porch. There is nobody about. You open the door of the hut, but there is nobody inside. The hut is also devoid of any furniture or objects. You walk outside again and inspect the blue vase. You look inside it, but despite the sunlight, you are unable to see beyond the rim. The vase is filled with an eerie blackness. You shake it and hear a rattling sound. You may drop the vase, put your hand inside the vase, or ignore the vase. And I'm going to put my hand inside because I know that works. I was being very brave last time. As your hand descends into the inky blackness of the vase, it is gripped by an intense pain. First, it feels as if it is being crushed, and then it feels as if it is on fire. If you wish to pull your hand out of the vase, turn to 185. If you want to feel around to find out what is inside the vase, turn to 341. I'm going to feel inside because I know this is all right. The pain in your hand becomes almost unbearable, but you still retain feeling in it. At the bottom of the vase, your hand comes into contact with several objects. You grasp them and pull your hand quickly out of the vase. You're surprised to see no mark or sign of injury on your hand. You examine your treasure and find 5 gold pieces. 5 GP. A dragon's tooth. tooth. A glass phial containing a potion of strength, which will restore 5 stamina. So, potion, stamina, plus 5. Add 1 luck, so 7. And return to the path to head north, 149. So that is useful things all, 149. Oh, potentially useful things, I don't know. As you walk across the valley, you see the dark green wall of Darkwood Forest looming up before you. Oh, so sniffly today. Oh, that's so annoying. The path leads directly into thick undergrowth, and soon you are walking between tall, dark trees and thorny bushes. It is dark and quiet. The path forks. If you wish to walk east, turn to 130. If you would rather continue north, turn to 306. I'm going north because I want to check out the ghoul crypt again without the holy water. Amidst the trees to the left of the path, you see a small stone building covered with ivy and moss. You wish to examine the building, turn to 391. Yes, I will examine it. The building measures only 3 meters by 3 meters and has no windows. The door is made of stone and looks very solid. There is no handle, and there does not appear that there is another way to enter the building. Then you notice a tiny keyhole in the stone door. Do you possess a silver key? I do. So I'm going to turn to 200. You take the small silver key from out of your backpack and place it into the keyhole. It fits perfectly, and you give it a turn. The lock clicks and the stone door swings open. Stone stairs lead down from the door into gloomy depths. You cannot see a thing down the stairs. If you wish to descend the stairs, turn to 351. If you wish to turn back, etc. I'm going to go down the stairs. Let's see now. You step carefully down the stone stairs, feeling your way as you go. Slowly, your eyes become accustomed to the dark, and you begin to make out shapes at the bottom of the stairs. You are standing in a small square room with a low ceiling. The floor is thick with dust, and there are cobwebs everywhere. In the middle of the room, there is what appears to be a large stone box, measuring approximately 2 meters by 1 meter, aka a sarcophagus. The top of it is a great stone slab. Along one of the rough stone walls, you find a small alcove with a candle in it. You may either light a candle or walk back up the stairs. So, given those 2 options, which is a bit strange because you're supposed to have a lantern, aren't you? I'm going to light the candle. Also, if you were able to see the candle, didn't you have enough light already? Some logical flaws there. The light from the candle casts eerie shadows around the room. In the yellow light, you see the face of an old man carved into the stone slab top of the box. Then you notice the leg of a skeleton protruding from the shadows in the far corner of the room. You walk over to the skeleton to inspect it. The skeleton is small and the skull has sharp, protruding teeth. It could be the skeleton of either a goblin or an orc. You walk over to the stone box. The slab on top looks as if it could be moved. You wish to try to lift the stone slab, turn to 95. Or if you wish to ignore the slab, you go back out again. You show 112. So I'm going to open the box. Sarcophagus. You try with all your might to move the stone slab, but it will not budge. You have any dust of levitation? I do. So I'm going to 173. You take from your backpack the glass phial containing the sparkling dust and sprinkle it on the stone slab. Slowly, the stone slab starts to rise into the air. You peer into the box and are horrified to see a rotting corpse lying there. Ragged clothes cover a skeletal body with loose flesh hanging from it. You have lifted the lid off a coffin containing some cursed undead creature and jump back in horror as you see its eyes flick open. Some poor writing there. I pointed that out last time. There's actually, I can just say that now, there's it's not the best writing in Livingston, sorry. Some text flow issues and things, but yeah, Steve Jackson's is better. Right. You are in a crypt made foul by some unknown follower of darkness. Slowly the creature rises out of its coffin and moves towards you with outstretched arms. Do you possess any holy water? No, no, no. Holy water is for wussies. Real men, they just use their sword. The creature about to attack you with its claws is a ghoul. It's got a skill of 9 and a stamina of 7. So, and I've got a skill of technically 13 now and a stamina of 12. So we have... It has the ability to paralyze you if it scores 4 separate wounds on you during this battle. Did I just get an email? Oh, okay. If you defeat the ghoul, turn to 212. If it kills you or paralyzes you, so 4 hits. So I must avoid being hit 4 times by it. Now, that shouldn't be too hard, seeing as I got a 4-point... Famous last words, isn't it? Let's just roll for the battle. So he's got a skill of 9. He rolls an 11. And I've got a 4... advantage of 4. So, and I rolled a 7. That is a draw. He rolls 10. I roll a 6. That's a draw. He rolls a 7. I roll an 8. So that is me hitting him. He rolls a 9. I roll a 5. That's a draw. He rolls a 10. I roll a 4. That is not a draw. That's 1 hit. 1 palpable hit. He rolls an 8. I roll a 7. So he's down to 3. He rolls a 9. I roll a 5. That is a draw. Good thing I got my helmet. He rolls a 9. I roll a 9. He's down to 1 hit point. He rolls a 3 and it is all over. Yes. See, that's not rolling there. I would have got paralyzed and died again. If I had a skill of 12 without the helmet, I would have died again. So yeah, I got my revenge on the ghoul. If you defeat the ghoul, turn to 312. Yeah, got that there. So 312. You step over the still corpse of the ghoul and look inside the coffin. You see 25 gold pieces, but are overjoyed to see another. Oh, hang on. Oh, so that is where one of the... Okay, yeah, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm reading too fast. See another object that was being used as the ghoul's headrest, a bronze hammerhead with the letter G inscribed in it. You happily put your findings into your backpack and leave the crypt to return to the path and head north. So I've got hammerhead, G. Okay. And 25. I've got 30 gold now. That's pretty good. Head north, turn to 112 finally. So we are going to 112. That's down there on the map. The path presses on northwards through the dense trees, and it makes a sudden turn to the right and heads east. The path is so overgrown in places that you have to use your sword to cut through it. The walk is long and tiring. At last you reach a junction in the path. Looking at Bigleg's map, you decide to head north again in the direction of Stonebridge and ignore the narrow path continuing east. Turn to 103. Okay, so we've got... I don't know where we are in relation to anything else now, but I'll just move it up here, maybe. So 103. So that is north. Yes, north. Usually when you come to junction and it says there are paths you're not taking, that means that's a junction you can get to from somewhere else. You get an indication of that. So the path opens out into a small clearing. To your right, you see a pile of branches, grass, and pieces of rag, the lair of some large creature. Amongst the debris and old bones scattered about, you catch sight of something glittering. If you want to look more closely, turn to 57. If you wish to hurry north along the path, turn to 360. So, pile of branches, grass, and pieces of rag. I don't know, that sounds like sort of a... Excuse me? Right, sorry about that. Also, I noticed that my sound recorder had been turning around, so I'm not sure if the sound went a little bit strange for a while, but I'll just keep going and see how it is, and yeah. It'll probably be okay. Speaking of sound recorders, I'm going to do a video about that soon because I'm getting a new one, and I'll say something about that in another non-fighting fantasy video. Anyway, and also I'm sorry because I really don't like jump cuts or anything like that. I can't stand jump cuts in YouTube videos. And people do them all the time now. I'm only doing them strictly out of necessity. So, right. Where am I? And what am I doing? 103, yes. The path opens up into a small clearing. To your right, you see a pile of branches, grass, and pieces. Oh, yes, it was a sort of a lair. It looks like a nest almost. I'm thinking it comes some kind of flying creature like a wyvern or something like that. Amongst the debris and old bones scattered about, you catch sight of something glittering. If you want to look more closely, turn to 57. So, look more closely. 57. Examine. Or hurry north along the path. 360. 360. North. I'm going to examine it, of course. Let's see. You walk over to investigate the lair, but are suddenly aware of a dark shadow being cast all about you. You hear a loud roar above you and look up to see a dragon-like creature with 2 legs and green scaly skin flying down to its lair. A bolt of fire shoots from its mouth towards you. Test your luck. My luck is now 7. Nope. Failed. If you're lucky, the firebolt misses you and explodes by your feet. Turn to 132. If you're unlucky, the firebolt slams you into your back, knocking you to the ground. Turn to 35. So we have... so test luck. And 130... I'll just do 1 for everything else. So that's... lucky. I should be so lucky. 35 and unlucky. So I was unlucky and I go to 35. Lose 4 stamina points for the injury caused by the terrible burn. If you're still alive, stamina is down to 8. No, it's not. It's down to 6. Still alive, turn to 132. Okay, so we are 132. The creature landing in front of you is a wyvern. It looks at you and opens its huge mouth to let out another burning roar. It is about 10 meters long, and its thick scales look hard to penetrate with your sword. Do you possess a flute? I remember there was supposed to be a flute here somewhere. I do not have a flute. So, flute. 258. And I think it turns out, and this one actually remember, if I'm correctly, if you have a flute and you start playing it, the wyvern turns out to be quite friendly. Of course, it's just protecting its nest, isn't it? So flute and 167. No flute. So I don't have a flute, so I'm going to 167. The wyvern's long tail swishes from side to side. Ooh, that's quite a strong creature. And smoke curls up from its nostrils. You draw your sword and prepare to fight this fearsome monster. Skill 10, stamina 11. Pretty strong. 10, 11, and I had 13, 6 now. Which means it's soon time to take a potion as well. So, right. So, I've got a 3 skill score advantage because of my helmet. So he rolls first, he rolls 4, which means I get the first hit. He rolls an 11. I rolled a 7, so that means I'm down to 4 hit points. He rolls a 12. I roll a 5. I'm down to 2 hit points, and now I'm taking my stamina potion, the main one, which brings my stamina back to 18. He rolls 5. I roll an 8. He's down to 7 hit points. He rolls a 7. I roll a 6. He's down to 5 hit points. He rolls a 9. I roll a 7. He's down to 3 hit points. He rolls a 6. I roll a 4. He's down to 1 hit point. And he rolls a 5. I roll an 8, and he is dead. And I think there's a bit of a... Really, there should have been a sort of special attack in this one because it's got a breath weapon. But yeah, it's easy to do, and it's been done before. Anyway. Right, so I win and I go to 305. So we have 305 win. You walk around the motionless wyvern and start to rummage through its lair and surrounding debris. You find a gauntlet made of plate iron, a throwing knife, 10 gold pieces, and a gold ring. So, so I've got a throwing knife. Uh, 10 gold pieces, which means I'm now up to 40 gold pieces. So will I try on the gauntlet, try on the gold ring? I'll leave these items. So, Gauntlet, it would either give me plus or minus on skill, depending on whether it's cursed or blessed, I suppose. I'll try the gauntlet. I'm trying the gauntlet. So we have here. Moving up here. So we've got 374 gauntlet and 133 ring. And we'll leave these items and go 300 to 360. That's down there. I'm trying the gauntlet, see what happens. You slip the gauntlet onto your hand and take hold of your sword. Slicing the air with it, you feel more than usually skilled with your weapon. You now possess a gauntlet of weapon skill, which will allow you to add 1 point to all future dice rolls when computing your attack strength. So I've got gauntlet +1 as well, which means my skill, effective skill in combat is now 14, which is the best it's ever been. Ever. If you used to try the gold ring, turn to 133. I think the ring is a trap. I'm going to leave the ring this time. So a gauntlet +1. And I'm going to go to 360. Walking along the narrow path, you suddenly hear the sharp cracks of a twig breaking and the whispering of low voices. You draw your sword and wait anxiously with your back to a large oak tree. Then, from behind the trees opposite you step 4 men and a woman dressed in green tunics. Each looks menacing, and they stand with swords and axes in their hands. The young woman steps forward and tells you that you are trespassing on their territory, and you must pay a levy of 5 objects from your backpack or face the consequences. If you wish to give them what they want, turn to 279. If you would rather spit on the ground in reply and fight them, turn to 104. I'm not giving them 5 items, am I? No, I'm not giving them 5 items. So, so 279, pay, or 104, fight. So I'm going to fight. This is probably going to be a difficult one. This is battle against more than one person as well. The bandit woman steps forward with her sword raised, shouting, "Death to the intruder!" She is their leader, and you must fight her first. So starting with the leader. Right, so we have... So I'm now at 14, 18, and she has 8, 6. So I've got a 6-point lead on my skill. So 8 versus 3, that is still me hitting her. 6 versus 5, and 6 versus 2, still the leader is dead. Now, if you manage to defeat her, you must now fight the other 4 bandits in pairs. Both members of a pair will have a separate attack on you in each attack round, but you must choose which of the 2 you will fight. Attack your chosen bandit as in a normal battle. Against the other, you will throw for your attack strength in a normal way, but you will not wound it if your attack strength is greater. Okay. I think I've actually done this wrong when I played before. You're supposed to roll twice. Okay, I'll usually just roll once for myself, but really I should roll twice. Is that how am I interpreting correctly now? So I'll just double check now. Fighting more than one creature, yeah. Oh, it says it. Yes. I think I've actually misread this before because I've only rolled once for my own attack strength, but really you need to roll twice. So I'll just do this now properly. So I'm still 14, 18, and I've got a 7, 6, and a 6, 4. Now I want to attack the 7. No, I want to attack the 6, 4 first. So the 6, 4, he rolls 11. Now I've got an advantage of 4, so that's 8 points. Maybe just roll 4, so each, so E10, yeah, okay. So I hit him. Actually, that makes it easier in a way. The other one rolls an 8, and I roll a 5, so nobody hits anyone. The 6, he rolls 6, and I roll 7, so he is dead. Then the other one rolls 9, and of course this round I'm just defending myself, and I roll 11. But now I'm attacking him. He rolls 5, I roll 9. He's down to 4 hit points. He rolls 9, I roll 7. He's down to, losing my pencil there. 2 hit points. He rolls 9, I roll 8, and he is dead. Now the second pair is a 7, 5, and a 5, 6. So I want to start against the 7. So he rolls 10, I roll 10, so he's down to 3. And then the other one, he rolls 8, and I roll 5, so no damage done there. First one again rolls 4, I roll 2, he's down to 1 hit point. Second one rolls a 9, I roll a 10, nothing happens, of course. First one again, the one I'm fighting is rolling 10, and I'm rolling 10, so he is dead. Defending myself against the other guy, rolling 11, and I'm rolling 3. So that is 16. Actually, so that's actually me better than him still, because I've got such a high skill plus bonuses now. So he rolls 11, I roll 8, so he is down to 4. He rolls 4, I roll 11, he's down to 2 hit points. He rolls 9, and I roll 5, he is down to 0, and he is dead. So I won that. Oof. Right, so I win, and I go to let's move that up there, I think. 3, 11, win. So yeah. A search for their clothing and pouches reveal nothing of interest apart from 2 gold pieces. So 42 gold now, which proves that gold is the meaning of life, the universe, and everything. 42. You set off north again along the path and soon notice the trees are beginning to thin out on either side of the path. Eventually the path leads out of the trees into a ploughed field. You are out of Darkwood Forest. Turn to 204. The path leads through the field to a stone bridge over a clear stream. Beyond the bridge are the small cottages and wooden huts of a village. A sign on the bridge reads, Stone Bridge. You cross the bridge and see two old dwarves with long white beards standing by a cottage looking at you. You have the hammerhead and handle with the letter G inscribed in them. If you do, turn to 400. If you possess neither or only one of these items, turn to 381. So this is either going to 400 or going to 381. 381. Okay. So hammer. No. Okay, 381. You have failed in your quest to help the dwarves. Being unable to face Gillibrand, their king, you decide to head east and find a place to rest after your perilous adventure. Perhaps you may try again. If you do, you must walk around Darkwood Forest, back to Jastromo's tower to purchase more of his magical items. Turn to 98. Now this is a bit unusual in these books, because in this one you can actually go back and go through the forest again, if you're lucky. On your long walk around Darkwood Forest, you are attacked by a large group of wild hillmen, probably the same group who attacked Bigleg and his party 2 days earlier. Test your luck. This is against luck, which just makes it a bit tricky. If you're lucky, you manage to run away from them without being hit by the rain of arrows which falls all about you. Turn to 1. So, testing luck now. Rolling against 6, and I made it. My luck is now 5. And I can go back to paragraph 1. So this is an interesting, unusual way of doing it. That means I get one more chance to mess up. And here we are. So we have... right, I've done paragraph 1 before. It's the Astromo, and I'm following him up the stairs. I'm just going to do it rather quickly now, just to get to the bits I haven't done before. We can buy things again now. So I got 42 gold. So I can buy potion of healing. So that's 3. I can buy the holy water. I can buy the boots of leaping. I can buy the armband of strength. The fire capsules and the garlic buds, because I used those. And most other things I can probably be fine with just getting one of each. So that's a total 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15... No, hang on. Yes, 14, 15, 16. Right, so 16. So that is 36, 26. I've got 26 gold pieces left, and I've got all the different items that are available from Jastromo. Okay, so I'm not going to read all that again. I'm just going to go back into the forest, go to 177. I'll see if I can do it a bit quickly now, so otherwise this video will get too long doing that. Outside in the bright light, you notice the dead quietness again. A narrow path leads northwards from the tall grass surrounding Jastromo's tower into the dense undergrowth of Darkwood Forest. Interesting fact, of course. Of course, in these early days of role-playing games like Dungeons and Dragons, copying shamelessly from Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, of course, he got it from somewhere else. But of course, Tolkien had the originality of picking out lots of things from myth and legend and heroic epics and things and turning it into his own creation. Most other fantasy role-playing games are just copies of Tolkien, really. Darkwood. In Hobbit, you got The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings universe in Middle-earth. You have a place called Mirkwood Forest. And of course, Mirkwood just means darkwood. Mirk is from an old English word meaning dark. Murky is, of course, derived from the same same etymology. So Mirkwood, Darkwood. So shameless copy. Although Mirkwood in Tolkien is a bit more sinister, I think, than Darkwood Forest. Right. So we are back at the beginning, and we are going east at this time. I think my luck is what's going to kill me now. It's only got 5 luck. A narrow path continues to cut its way through the tangled forest. Strange animal cries and noises echo through the trees. At last the path widens to approximately a meter. I just thought about something here. When you get to the same, if you get to the same bit again that you've been before, I suppose you can't really meet the same creatures or pick up the same items. So if on this second run I get to a location I've been before and I meet a monster I've killed before or that I've resolved before, I'll just have to ignore it. It doesn't say in the book, but really it should have said in the book. And I'm also not going to go and pick up another sword and another helmet. Okay, wear 2 helmets and 2 swords to get extra damage in battle. Right, the narrow path continues to cut its way through the tangled forest. A strange animal cries and noises echo through the trees. At last, the path widens to approximately a meter across. Soon you arrive at a moss-covered wooden signpost, on top of which sits a large crow. That's this lovely picture there. The arms of the signpost read north and east, very useful. Just as you're deciding which way to continue, you hear the words, "Good afternoon." You look up in the direction of the voice and see the crow looking down at you inquisitively. "Good afternoon," you reply slowly, feeling a little foolish. The crow speaks again, asking which way you are headed. You reply that you are looking for 2 goblins, small, sinewy creatures with brown, scaly skin. "1 gold piece will buy my advice," states the crow confidently. Will you pay the crow, ignore the crow, and turn north, and ignore the crow and turn east? So I'm going to pay the crow. So 343. 1 DP. Okay. And then it is east, 239. For north, number 8. So okay, so I'm going to pay the crow 1 gold piece. Got plenty now, 25 left. And see what he has to say, because, well, it's nice now that I can afford advice. Let's see. You put the gold piece on top of the signpost as requested by the crow, after which it says, "Go north." You ask the crow why it needs gold pieces, and it replies that it needs 30 gold pieces to pay Yaz trauma to turn it back into a human again. You bid the crow farewell. If you want to turn north, as advised by the crow, turn to 8. If you'd rather continue eastwards, turn to 239. I'm gonna do the crow's advice now. Also, interestingly, again, you were not given the option of attacking the crow. Walking along the path, you hear footsteps and arguing voices ahead of you. If you wish to meet their owners, turn to 317. If you'd rather hide in the bushes and let them walk by, turn to 392. So we got 392, hide, or 317, meet. I'm going to go and meet my... Oh, these are the hobby. I've seen this picture a few times as I've leafed past. So, and you draw your sword and prepare to meet the owners of the arguing voices. 2 tall, spindly creatures appear clad in tattered cloth. They see you and instantly stop their argument. They are hobgoblins and draw their swords to attack you. Let's see, just a moment. Yes. I've got my iPad here in case I got any... that should be out of shot, shouldn't it? There we go. Just in case I get any important emails or anything, I can see it from here. So, hobgoblins. Let's see, I just need to make a bit more room here. Now I've got 14, 18 is my battle strength. And let's see. It says it doesn't say that you fight them one by one, but also it doesn't say that you're fighting them in twos, which means you are fighting them one by one, and that's a typo because it really should say. So I'm fighting a 6/6 and a, not that it will make a big difference, probably. So I've got an 8-point advantage on the first one. He rolls a 6, I roll a 5. He rolls a 6, I roll a 9. He rolls a 7, I roll anything really. Second one rolls a 7, I roll a 12. He rolls a 7, I roll a 6. He rolls a 7, I roll a 5, and he is dead. Okay, nice to have 14 combat strength. Right. So, escape is possible. So I win and I go to 301. So let's see, where are we now? 317. And I win and I go to 300. Might as well do that from there. 301. You search through the pockets of the hobgoblins and find 3 gold pieces, a tiny brass flute, and that's the one you need for the Wyvern. So I'm 28 gold pieces. Brass flute, 2 maggot-ridden biscuits. There's also a necklace made of mouse skulls around one of their necks. So mouse skull necklace. If you require any of these items, add them to your equipment list. That's a strange wording. It sort of implies you know what they're good for, doesn't it? Also the biscuits. Take the biscuits. Biscuits. To the left of the path, you notice a large hole in the ground with a diameter of some 3 meters. Walking over to the edge of the hole, you see it sloping off into the depths of the earth. If you wish to walk down into the hole, turn to 125. So, let's see, flute plus items. So down into the hole, 125 hole, or 337, 337 north. I'm going to down into the hole, obviously. I mean, I've sort of checked out everything now. I'm just going to keep doing that. As you descend into the hole, you notice large amounts of slime secreted by some huge creature. I don't know, it's a huge creature. Maybe it's a small creature that secreted slime all over the place. If you wish to climb back out of the hole and continue walking northwards, turn to 337. If you wish to carry on down the hole, turn to 15. Of course, I'm going down into the hole. Let's see. The slope is steep and you slip on the slime, tumbling head over heels down the hole to the bottom into a large earthen cavern. You jump to your feet and are alarmed to see the shiny tip of a poisoned barb on the tail end of a huge stingworm coming straight at you. The stingworm is about 5 meters long and has huge yellow segments, but all you care about is protecting yourself from the barb. There is no time to scramble out of the hole. You must draw your sword and fight. So, nice picture there again. Haven't said so much about the pictures today because not as amazing art style, I think, as in the other books that I've done. I'm not sure about Freeway Fighter, but the other books. And oh yes, also I was mentioning the other day about the cover. Ian McCaig, of course. That's what I thought it was, but it didn't say inside the book. It says on the back, Ian McCaig. So that's a very iconic image from the Fighting Fantasy franchise. So we have a stingworm, 8/7. So that means I got a 6-point advantage. So he rolls a 6, which means he's down to 5. He rolls a 6 again, which means he's down to 3. He rolls a 7. Doesn't stand a chance, does he? So poor thing. He rolls a 7 and he is dead. So I win and I go to 217. 217 win. There we are. Okay. Let's see. Is the map a little bit out of... Yeah, sorry about that. The map. I'm getting to the slightly to the right of the map now, so I have to be careful it doesn't go out of shot. 217. You walk around the lifeless bulk of the worm to examine the contents of its lair. There are several skeletons, perhaps those belonging to other unfortunate adventurers. By the side of one of them, you find a leather backpack. Inside the backpack, you find 4 gold pieces. So I'm up to 32. A small corked bottle containing a colorless liquid. If you wish to drink it... Okay, so that's a potion of some sort. If you'd rather leave the dark cavern and scramble back up to the path. Okay, so I can choose now to drink the liquid. I can go back to 337. I think maybe someone is coming at the door. I heard something. I'll be back in a moment. Okay, sorry about that. Where was I? Yes. I won. Let's see, I'll just backtrack a little bit just to be sure I'm in the right place now. Yes, I was given the option of drinking a potion. So 262. I'm going to try to drink the potion. So I'm going to... Why am I? Hang on. If it's a potion of stamina, it will have no effect on me. If it's a potion of luck, it will. I'm going to try the potion. You look at the bottle in your hand and then quickly gulp down its contents. You wait several seconds for some reaction, but nothing happens. However, when you come to pick up your sword, which you had put down to examine the backpack, a surge of confidence runs through your body. The liquid is a potion of weapon skill, which will allow you to add 1 point to future dice rolls when computing your own attack strength during combat, which means my effective attack strength is now 15. Wow. Its effect will last for your next two combat encounters. Okay, so that's limited effect then, but still, that's amazing. Next 2 encounters, remember that. So that's for two encounters. Please remind me if I forget. Okay. So 337. So 337. There we are. At last, the trees begin to thin out and shafts of sunlight beam down through the gaps on either side of the path. As the path widens, you see a large cave entrance set a few yards back on the right. If you want to examine the cave, turn to 230. If you wish to continue northwards, turn to 258. So we have... Let's put 258 a little bit up here. Like so. So I can do the cave entrance here. I'll just do that because I need a little bit of space on the right here as well for the easternmost path. It looks like this one I should have done in that kind of aspect ratio probably. It's quite a wide map. Yes, so cave 230. Hang on, did I write that right? 358 is north and 230 is the cave. So I'm going to go to the cave. Slowly you peer into the cave and see the huge shape of an ogre walking slowly over to a wicker cage with a bowl of water in his great hand. He is dressed in animal furs and carries a stone club in his belt. There appears to be a small creature jumping around inside the cage. You may pick up a rock and throw it at the ogre, rush in and attack the ogre with your sword, or leave the cave and continue up the path. Of course, I would have won in a sword fight with an ogre now, easily. But I'm going to pick up a rock and throw it at the ogre because I'm given the option and I'll try that. So, 137. And also 358 is an option. And so throw rock. So rock, not paper, not scissors, but rocks. So 137, and this is probably where I need my, what's it called again? Glove of Missile Dexterity. If you possess a glove of Missile Dexterity, turn to 55. If you do not, turn to 10. So I'm going to go to 55. You reach into your backpack and pull out the purple silk glove. It fits snugly on your hand. Then you bend down and pick up a good-sized rock and take aim. You throw the rock with all your might at the ogre, and it flies like an arrow to hit him on the side of the head, knocking him unconscious. The creature in the cage jumps around even more frantically than before. Do you take a closer look at the creature in the cage, search through the contents of the cave, or leave the cave immediately? I'm going to take a look at the creature in the cage first. Inside the cage is a small, sinewy creature with brown, scaly skin. Inside the cage, a small, sinuous creature with brown, scaly skin is jumping up and down. He is a goblin. Round his neck hangs a black, shiny rod on a leather cord. If you want to unlock the cage door, turn to 117. If you want to leave the cave, no, I'm going to unlock it because I think I may just have found a handle. You unlock the door and step back, drawing your sword in case the goblin tries to attack you. He picks up a wooden stool and, waving it in the air, kicks the door open and charges at you, screaming. You must fight. So Goblin 5-4, I've got an advantage now of 10, which means that technically if he rolls a 12 and I roll a 2, nobody injures anyone, which means that technically I win the battle automatically. But I'll roll anyway because he rolls an 11, I roll an 8. He rolls a 7, I roll 4. He's dead. If he went down to 232. Right, so you bend down over the lifeless body of the mad goblin and examine the rod around its neck. The rod is made of ebony and there is a screw thread at one end. You are excited. Why would you use a screw thread to attach a handle to an axe or a hammer? That doesn't make any sense. But there you go. That sounds silly. But it's the axe handle, or the hammer handle rather. Hammer handle G. So I've got now both parts of the hammer, and I'm adding lone luck point because, well, if you wish to search through the contents of the cave, turn to 263. If you want to leave the cave and continue northwards, turn to 358. Basically now, all I have to do to win the game is to get safely back to Stonebridge. Can I do that? Let's try, because I thought I could remember that this was actually potentially quite an easy game, that you can actually technically win the first time you play it. Right, so I was actually not too far off winning last time then, because if I'd only been hit one time less by the ghoul and done the same thing I did now, maybe I would have won, but there you go, second time. Oh, I'm talking too soon now because I still have to get out of this place. I'm going to leave the cave and continue northwards. Walking along the path, you do not notice a rope noose hidden beneath some fallen leaves ahead of you. Your foot catches on the noose and suddenly you are hauled into the air by the rope, which is tied to a sprung tree. In a second, you are hanging upside down, suspended by your trapped foot. Test your luck. Luck is 6. I roll an 8, so that's a fail. If you're lucky, your sword remains in its scabbard and you are able to use it to cut yourself down from the man trap. Turn to 40. If you're unlucky, your sword slips from its scabbard and drops to the ground, leaving you dangling helplessly. Turn to 218. You curse as you wonder who set this infernal trap. After 10 minutes, you hear footsteps and begin to panic, making frantic swaying movements in the air, trying to free your foot from the noose. It would only get tighter if you do that. Then a small boy dressed in green leather shorts and green shirt appears. He's chewing on what looks like a chicken bone. He walks underneath you, looks up and smiles, saying, "Haha, somebody's caught in the ogre's tree trap." You ask him politely to pass you your sword. "That will cost you 5 gold pieces. Or perhaps you have a nice magical item for me," he says, eyes widening. You are in no position to argue and must give the boy the gold or one of your magical items. So I'm going to give him 5 gold out of 32. I've got only 27 left. Boo-hoo. Boo-hoo. The small boy then passes you your sword and runs away down the path. You cut the rope, holding your foot, and fall heavily to the ground. You get to your feet and brush the dirt from your clothes. Continue northwards to go to 274. I can't be bothered to map it now. Can't be bothered. You notice a knotted vine hanging down to the ground from a tree on your left. You look up and see a roughly made treehouse amid the branches. You want to climb up the vine to the treehouse, turn to 195. If you wish to continue walking north, turn to 109. So I'm going to go to 109. Now, I'm sure there are lots of interesting encounters left to find in this book, because I've seen quite a few of them now. But because I've got the objects I need, I'm just going to try to win it, actually, in this case. Because that's what usually the aim is, to go through the game until I win it. So I'm not going to risk dying now. Soon the path leads out of the trees onto a large plain with tall grasses. Beyond it you see rising ground, and further off some low hills. The path splits and goes in 3 directions, west, east, and north. So probably I should turn west now because I sort of know where I'm going if I go west. So once I get to the path I've been before. The path ends at another junction. The way south leads back to the forest, so you decide to head north, turn to 180, and is that anywhere here? Yes, there we are. So 180 is now here on my map. Walking quickly along the path through waist-high grass, you arrive at another junction in the path. If you want to continue walking north, turn to 105. Yeah. Just do it rather quickly now. In the distance to the right of the path, you see a large bird circling in the sky. As you get closer, you recognize them as vultures. They wouldn't be there anymore now because, well, actually they would, because there's a dead barbarian there instead of a living one. Actually, they wouldn't be circling; they would be on the ground feasting. So I'm going to ignore them and continue north, 394. Now, many of the encounters here, you can actually just avoid them because you just keep walking past. I get to the river. Gradually, the grass around you becomes shorter as the ground gently starts to rise. Ahead, you can hear the sound of flowing water. Soon you reach the bank of a slow-flowing river. I'm going to cross on the stepping stones again because that worked fine last time. Oh, there's some interesting stuff here I haven't seen before. You step carefully along the slippery stones to the other side of the river. You see that the path continues north into the hills, but as it is getting dark, you decide to make camp for the night under a large solitary tree to the right of the path. You build a large fire and settle down to sleep with your sword by your side. 325. You have been asleep for about an hour when the soft noise of fluttering wings wakes you up. You sit up and grab your sword, and in the light of the full moon you see the 3 large shapes flying towards you. They look like large bats, but as they swoop in close, you see the unmistakable fangs of vampire bats. If you possess any garlic buds, I do because I bought new ones, even though it's a bit silly to say they only last one time. You reach quickly into your backpack and pull out the garlic buds. The vampire bats close in on you, but veer away at the last second, screeching loudly. They hover above you, eager to drink your blood, but the garlic keeps them at bay. Eventually they fly off in search of some other prey. Leaving the garlic by your side, you settle down to sleep again. In the morning you collect your belongings and head north along the path. The ground is quite steep as the path wends its way into the hills. By the time you reach the top, the sun is quite hot. All around in the distance you see the green circle of darkwood forest. Mist still hangs in the tall grass behind you, but ahead you see a valley floor bathed in sunlight. All is quiet. As you start down the far side of the hill, you see a junction in the path. You either continue north down the hill. Hang on. Did I? or head west along the new branch. So I'm going to go north. Let's see. The path runs north down the hill between large boulders and rocks. Let's see. You have an uneasy feeling that you are being watched. Then from behind one of the larger boulders to the left of the path spring two sinewy men with long hair and beards. They're wearing animal furs and look menacing. One notches an arrow to his bow and lets it fly. That's your luck. So luck is 5. I actually made it. If you're unlucky, you get hit. If you're lucky, the arrow misses. And I'll go to 210. The men curse and jump up and down in anger at having missed you. They start to argue and push each other around. Seem to forget all about you. If you want to attack the wild hillmen, turn to 43. Now, see, last time, of course, I killed these men, but of course these could be new ones, and therefore I'm keeping these now. So I want to walk past along them, go to 188, and just ignore them now. I don't need another silver key. Walking down the hill, you see the valley floor stretching out ahead and beyond a sinister wall of trees, dark wood. On the other side of the trees lies Stonebridge, your journey's end. Arriving on the valley floor, you see that the path comes to a junction. If you want to head west, turn to 221. If you want to head east, turn to 359. And now this is where I'm going west because I know the path, so I know it's safe. The valley floor is covered with lush green grass and is very flat. You soon arrive at another junction in the path. You may either continue west or head north again. So I'm going to go west. Am I going west? Where am I now? 378. Yes, 378. I'm going west. To the left of the path, you see a small man with a long grey beard sitting cross-legged on top of a huge mushroom. I'm going to walk past him and go to 67. You arrive at another junction, 113. The path makes a sudden turn to the right and heads north across the valley floor. Investigate the hut. No, I'm going to go on and go to 149. So you walk across the valley, you see the dark green wall of darkwood forest looming up before you. The path forks. Walk east at 130, haven't been there before, and continue north, 306. Amidst the trees to the left of the path, you see a small stone building. Not examining it, I'm going to carry on. So I'm going to 112. The path presses on northwards through the dense trees, then it makes a sudden turn to the right and heads east. The path is so overgrown in places that you have to use your sword to cut through it. Your walk east is long and tiring. At last you reach a junction in the path and are heading north. Go to 103. The path opens out into a small clearing. To your right you see a pile of branches, grass and pieces of rag, the lair of some large creature. I'm going to hurry north and go to 360. Walking along the narrow path, you hear the sharp crack of twig. Let's see, and then of course the bandits again, and they want 5 objects from my backpack. Or face the consequences. I'm going to give them 5 objects, all right. So I'm going to give them the glove of missile dexterity, which I have, but hang on, I have used it, sort of, haven't I? I'm going to give them boots of leaping, holy water, anti-poison, insect control, plant control, and then go to 279. Okay, 246. Let's see. And then eventually the path leads out of the trees into a ploughed field. You're out of Darkwood Forest, turn to 204. The path leads through the field to Stonebridge. Over a clear stream beyond the bridge are the small cottages and wooden huts of a village. A sign on the bridge reads Stonebridge. You cross the bridge and see 2 old dwarfs with long white beards standing by a cottage looking at you. You have the hammerhead and handle with the letter G inscribed in them. If you do, turn to 400, and I do. And I'm going to 400. And it says here, you walk up to the old dwarves and ask them to take you to Gillibrand. They eye you suspiciously, but agree to do so, commenting on your wounds and torn clothing. You got those in Darkwood Forest, I presume, says one of the dwarfs, pointing at various gashes on your body with his long clay pipe. Some people never learn. Adventurers are all the same. I can't see the sense in it myself. You walk through the village behind the two dwarfs and are aware of many dwarfish folk watching you. They begin to follow you and a procession builds up behind. There are lots of mutterings and whispers amongst the crowd of dwarfs, and expectant looks show on their faces. Soon you arrive at the foot of stone steps leading up to a stone building. Outside the building on an ornate wooden throne sits a small old man with a long beard. He is wearing a crown but looks miserable and holds his head in his hands. You run up the steps, taking the hammerhead and handle from your backpack. At the sight of them, the old dwarf's eyes light up and he jumps to his feet. Taking them eagerly from you, he starts to shout, "My hammer! My hammer! We are saved! Now, my people, we are ready to fight the trolls!" The whole crowd erupts into cheering, waving their axes and swords in the air. You tell Gillibrand of Bigleg's misfortune and why he decided to continue his quest, and of all the monsters you have encountered on your way. Gillibrand listens and frowns at the news of Bigleg, his faithful servant, and he opens a drawer in the base of the throne and reaches into it, pulling out a small silver box and a golden winged helmet, and hands them to you. The helmet is worth hundreds of gold pieces, and you proudly place it on your head. A great roar of approval comes from the crowd. You open the silver box and find dozens of jewels and gems. You put these in your backpack and wave to the happy dwarfs of Stonebridge. Your quest is over and you are now wealthy beyond your wildest dreams. There we are. So, the Forest of Doom, in 2 tries. Of course, I was very lucky to get skill 12 this time. Without skill 12, this would have been a lot harder to do in the way that I did it, and I was actually very low luck, which almost killed me a few times, but I was lucky when I really needed to, and I was able to go through the forest again, and my throat is getting very dry now. So that is one way to complete the Forest of Doom, and that is definitely by far not the easiest way, because now I know the location of the items I need to win. So it's not that difficult once you know. What can I say about... I'll just say I'm not going to do proper reviews, as I've said before, of these books, but it just feels like this one is a lot simpler in many ways than the other ones. It's just something about the structure of it is a little bit somehow. And of course that you can go back and start over again. It's a sort of slightly contrived thing. I think that really you should have to start over again, because if you go on your second run, it's so easy to complete it. If you just manage that luck roll rather, to get past the bandits on the hillmen rather on the way back, and you know where to go or where you haven't been, you will have all the items you need and more, and it will be relatively easy to complete. Now, there are a few battles you have to do, but not that many that you have to do to get the things you need. So, yeah, it's I'm not sure I'm a big fan of the way it's structured, and also it should say something, I think, in the book about getting to the same encounters twice, which really should be different the second time. But yeah, so that's book number 3 done, and so next time because I'm going to do my aftermath episode of this one as well, which will be a bit interesting because, and also I'll do my map. A bit interesting to see how much you actually have to do on the path that is the optimum path, and I think it might be quite easy, actually, the optimum path in this one. I'm just guessing now because of the way it's structured, with sort of 3 parallel paths that sort of cross over several times seem to be the general structure of it. And a lot of the fights can be avoided. You only need to do the ones that you really need to do to get the essential items, it looks like. And some of those fights can be avoided with the correct magical items that you can buy from Yaztromo in the beginning. So next time, so I'll do that, of course, and after that I will get to the next book, which I know at least one of my viewers was looking forward to, and that is Starship Traveler. It'll be nice to do a science fiction one again. It's been a while. This is the one that is based almost entirely on Star Trek, which is fine. I quite like that, and it'll be nice to get a little bit out of the fantasy setting for a few days and enjoy a bit of sci-fi again. Of course, back in the day when I started playing these books the first time, in the 80s, I wasn't a big fan of the sci-fi genre at all. I liked fantasy. I didn't like science fiction. So I don't think I ever bought any of the science fiction ones. I did see them in the secondhand bookshops, never bought any. I just had a quick leaf through them and I didn't find them interesting. I had a really good time playing Freeway Fighter, which is fighting fantasy book number 13, and I'm really looking forward to playing this one. And also this is interesting because this was before they came up with the green spine thing. As you see, there's no banner, no green spine. It's the star cover edition, which you had in the first few books, and of course there are different colors. And as you see, the green here is also not the green spine that you became the standard later. So these are just different colors before they standardized the look. You can still quite easily spot them on the bookshelf, though, if you have them next to each other. So, yeah. Starship Traveler next time, and so it's been a long slog, and I'm sorry about the interruption, which means that I now have to put in a few jump cuts as well. But I really hope you enjoyed watching this, and I thank you and I commend you for your patience if you watched this all the way through. And I'll be looking forward to seeing you next time. If you enjoyed watching this, please leave a comment. If you didn't like it and you watched all this way through, then I'll just say thanks for watching anyway, because I'm getting my watch time, which I need at some point. Of course, if you didn't enjoy it, you wouldn't have watched it for long at all, would you? So you wouldn't get to this bit. So anyone who's still hearing what I'm saying, you will have enjoyed watching it, and you hopefully had a nice time following my explorations of the Forest of Doom, Darkwood Forest, and my quest to finding Gillibrand's hammer in the forest, and to save the world again. And to become rich, which of course is the main aim for any hero in Ian Livingstone books, it seems. And therefore, I'm also looking forward to the next book being a Steve Jackson book, which means that your aim is not to get rich. I think you are trying to get back. Yes. You're getting sucked through a void, which basically means you get sucked into a kind of wormhole, and you have to find your way back home. See, that's a very good non-gold scented kind of motivation for a book. So yeah, Starship Traveler next time, and Forest of Doom Aftermath episode coming up. When I've finished, of course, finishing the map will take a while, and doing my calculations. So maybe tomorrow. Maybe I'll get to do it tomorrow. It all depends how much time I've got left today to do things like this. I also need to do gardening and things, and probably go for a walk as well. So yes, thanks for watching. Have a lovely day, and I will see you next time. Goodbye for now.